jump right into this conversation.
Yeah, excellent. So in all my years of working with people, now it's get close to 15 years, hundreds, thousands of clients and doing my own work. What I've sort of noticed, and the viewer's going to recognize this, it's one thing to meet someone, right? It's not exactly that hard to meet someone. But having that relationship go the distance, creating something healthy and sustainable, that's a whole different ballgame, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, we don't want a string, I don't think anyway, a string of short-term relationships that sort of break our hearts and over and over and over again. We like to meet someone and have it work and have it last, okay? So that changes what we should focus on from how do I meet someone to asking a deeper question, am I prepared to go the distance? So I use this metaphor, and your viewers are gonna get it real quickly. Imagine that I was a triathlon coach. Okay, I teach people how to be successful in triathlons. You know, those are the fitness endurance race where you're in the water for 2.5 miles and then on a bike for 112 miles and then a full marathon consecutively back to back on the same day. Okay, so it's insane. Okay, so let's just say the viewer comes to me and says, Roy, I want to do a triathlon and I want you to coach me. Okay, so great. So we sit down and we start talking to each other and you start asking me questions about, you know, how to survive the water in the beginning because it's a crazy free for all. You get drowned because everybody's in the water. You ask questions about the transition from the water to the bike and the bike to running. And you ask questions about what to eat, when to eat, how much water, you know, where to speed up, where to conserve time. Okay, so I'm getting all these questions and I feel your enthusiasm, but it starts to dawn on me that you're asking questions about the actual race. And as a former triathlete, I'm not, but in this imaginary story, as a former triathlete, now a coach, the alarm bells start going off. So you're talking about race day. You should be talking about how to get in shape for the race. Because if you're not in shape, you can have the greatest strategy in the world, and you're not going to make it a quarter of a mile in the water. You're never going to finish. So it's easy to start a triathlon. Anybody can start one, but it's hard to finish one. And that's the same in our love lives. It's not so hard to start one, but it's hard to finish one. And so what I've seen in all my years, and it makes sense, but it's a mistake, is my clients and people ask questions about race day. Where do I go? How do I approach? What do I say? How do I flirt? How do I connect? How do I get a first date? You know, they're asking things about what to do when you're face to face on the starting line. I call the starting line of a relationship that moment when you bump into each other. I met my wife at a personal growth conference. I sat down right next to her. That was the starting line for our relationship. Okay. Now you can meet online, you can meet at an airport, you can meet at networking events, you can meet at a bar, you can meet at church, you can meet anywhere. There's going to be a time when you come face to face, you get on the starting line. If you're not already in shape, you're screwed. It's not going to go anywhere, right? Because you're not in shape. So it sort of dawned on me, then rather to spend a lot of my time coaching people on how to meet someone, if I want to really be of service, and if I think people want real results that last in their love lives, we got to change the question from how do I meet someone to am I prepared to go deep? Do I know how to handle my emotions in a relationship and someone else's? Do I know how to communicate and handle conflict? Have I let go of my past and baggage and things that have hurt me, that can affect my future? See, it's the preparation that makes you successful in a triathlon. And it's the same in a relationship. But most people, they don't recognize that. They think, I just haven't met the right person yet. Fate hasn't, the gods haven't put us together. And And I want to figure out how to do that. The law of attraction, right? I want to find out how to attract my partner. Well, what if you attract someone great and then you've got some stuff, some relationship habits and skills that aren't that good? You're going to mess it up. Like you won't finish the race.
Mm-hmm.
So this is good news and bad news. It's good news that you're working on the right thing when you start to focus on yourself and ask yourself, how relationally fit am I? What's my relationship condition? Am I ripped or am I dangerously out of shape? Right? I mean, but the bad news is it seems harder. Like I have to work on me, but what about them? Well, the reality is the healthier you are, the healthier of a person you attract. You always attract after your own kind. So if you've got blockages and barriers and relationship skills that need improving, you will attract someone who's emotionally unavailable, got their own baggage, right? So the best thing you can do for your love life is to say, can I get myself in better shape? Mm-hmm. And also, Michelle, it's the only thing you can control. Mm-hmm. You can't control that moment when you meet someone. You can't control them and what they're doing and who they are, but you can get yourself in shape. That much you can do. And I find when people stop focusing on them, where to find them, how to reach them, how to meet them, how to connect with them, and it's more about me and how can I get myself in shape, everything changes completely. Mm-hmm. So that's why I wrote my new book is called Relationship Boot Camp.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, let's get in shape. I use a fitness metaphor, to talk about, there's physical fitness. That's great. That's important. But there's relationship fitness too. And many of us need to maybe lose a few pounds, get in better physical shape. I found that most people, especially me, need to get in better relationship shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really appreciate that introduction, and congratulations on your new book. And I think what you're talking about is really, really important, because I do think that it's true, Roy. I know when people come to me, usually they're coming to me for help with what's kind of what I call the outer work, how to meet someone, how to flirt, how to get that first date, the things you were talking about. And I always, certainly that can be the gateway, and that can be a place to, enter the conversation, if you will. But without that inner work, without doing those things that you're talking about to prepare yourself to be ready for the right relationship, then you are likely to sabotage the relationship without meaning to, because you're not necessarily seeing what's blocking you or getting in the way and why it hasn't worked up to this point. Right. Now, I know there are women out there, and we just want to acknowledge this, that are listening, that are saying, I don't know, Roy and Michelle, it's really not that easy to meet someone for me, because there are people out there for sure that feel like it's challenging to meet someone. Mm-hmm. But I would say, and let's see if you agree with me, I'd like your thoughts on this, that part of that is likely an inner block. It's based on an inner belief. And I say that women often don't have their Montana turned on.
Good, I like that.
So they're not seeing those opportunities out there, or they're not putting themselves in those situations where they can create them. And you're right, we don't have total control over anyone else. We don't want to have total control over anyone else, or we don't necessarily have control over when that moment's going to be when we meet someone. But we do have that control of getting out of our own way, and that's what you're talking about by getting in relationship shape.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yes, I'm the same way. Many of my clients talk, but I haven't had a date in 3 years. I don't meet people. I'm not getting approached. Or some of my men clients, I'm afraid to approach, and so they're like, it's not that easy to get on the starting line. It's not that easy to be face-to-face with a potential person. And so when I'm coaching, we do have a conversation sometimes about how to do online dating. There's a way to do it that I've learned can get you a much better chance of success. And I do talk with my clients about, maybe where to go and what to say, but that's a secondary conversation, because you're exactly right. There are often inner blocks or beliefs, personas, attitudes, that keep us from meeting someone, maybe we're shy. Here's an illustration. If we're talking mostly to women, which I think we are, when you were a little girl at 3 and 4 years old, did you have any trouble meeting a new person? Right? You'd be walking down the street with your mom and your dad, and you'd see somebody, you smile at them, you'd wave, hey, hello, right? You had no intimidation about new people. There's no fear, you just were there. You were present. You were open. You were sort of available, you could say, as a 4-year-old. The reason is because you hadn't been hurt yet.
Mm-hmm.
You hadn't been criticized. You hadn't been rejected. You hadn't been dumped. You hadn't been judged. There was no barriers. There was no past. But now we're older, right? Instead of 4, we're 40, 44, 54, 64. And we've accumulated some stuff. So we're carrying that with us. And that can make us be a little bit at arm's distance, or give off an energy of, I'm not sure I trust you, or being shy, because perhaps when you were younger, you were open and available and somebody made fun of you. And so it's kind of shut you down, right? So it's that kind of stuff that I believe, and I think you do too, Michelle, is you need to do some workouts with that stuff. You need to let that go, deal with some of those blockages, and especially with the past, in order to have your heart be open and available, right? Mm. Because most of us are blocked by the past. We have these memories and these pains, and they're in us. We got cheated on, we got deceived, we got ghosted, we got gaslighted. I mean, all these things. And it's normal that they accumulate in us, but it puts a wall around our hearts. And walls keep us safe, but they keep us single. So you got to do the workout to get rid of your walls, so that you can meet the world with an open and available heart. Right? Yes, you have boundaries. I mean, I'm not saying you don't live without boundaries, but there's a kind of vulnerability, a kind of openness that you can walk through life with, that is going to change the way people feel your energy and see, they'll see it in your eyes and in your face, that you're like, I'm right here. And you will start meeting people, because it's your own wall that's creating the difficulty of meeting people. That's the hard part to tell someone, because we're so convinced I'm not meeting someone because of something on the outside. All the good ones are taken or gay, right? Or whatever it is, online dating, they're a bunch of liars and losers and lunatics, right? And, whatever. But then when you really start to wake up, and this is where I would almost ask people listening here to sort of trust us. We've been doing this for decades. It's not really about them. You're projecting something that is giving you a result where you're not connecting with people and getting on the starting line. So that's all what I'm talking about in the preparation phase, is letting go of your past, and whatever else we might discover is keeping you from letting the universe or God, whatever you want to call it, do what it wants to do. I don't know what God's will is for anybody, but I do know that if we're stuck in the past and we're not in good relationship shape, then we are sabotaging the universe's efforts and what it might want to bring to our lives. So it's about purifying ourselves, letting go of stuff so that we can just meet, and when I met my wife sitting down next to me at that conference, she had just come through about 2.5 years of therapy, and I about 2 solid years of coaching, which I don't know how long you work with your clients, but 2 years is forever. My clients work like 4 months with me. But we had both done enormous work. So we were able to sit next to each other, and we were able to not have all the junk that we had let go of interfere. And our normal masculine feminine chemistry was able to connect, and the flirting almost became, it's almost second nature. When you're not worried about rejection, when you're not assuming someone's got a motive, you're just present with them. So that's what's possible if we get ourselves in shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really important. I absolutely agree with you. Otherwise, I think it's kind of like driving a car with one foot on the gas pedal and one foot on the brake, because we're trying to go for it and then we're like holding ourselves back through beliefs or patterns or things that are haunting us from the past, that sort of thing. And so I'm right there with you. In fact, I had a conversation with a woman recently who became one of my clients, and she said what she'd noticed is, she said, I kind of have this come here, get away, come here, get away thing going on.
Yeah.
And one of my other clients at one point said, she said, I rarely notice men, and if I do notice them and I see that they've noticed me, she said, what I've found is I'm actually giving them the death stare. She said, not only am I not smiling,
Ooh, that's sexy.
or being open, I'm giving them the death stare. And so we talked about that, and she talked about how it was that protective thing. Something inside of her was giving the message, things from her past were giving her the message, that's danger, danger, that you could get hurt if you let someone in. And so that's a perfect example of what we're talking about, how even when those opportunities present, she hadn't seen or realized this, but it had been going on for years. She actually did have these defense mechanisms going on that were protecting her. And so she desperately wanted intimacy. She desperately wanted to connect.
Right.
And that was a deep, deep desire, as it is for most people out there.
Yeah.
But she had these other things that were getting in the way.
Right. That's exactly my point. And maybe the viewer can't relate to the, come, stay away, or the death stare. But you're doing something like, maybe not that, but maybe something, similar to it. And that's why I say we could talk all about strategy on where to go and what to say. But if you go to remember Top Gun, the movie Top Gun, where Tom Cruise says it's a target-rich environment in that bar, if you remember the movie again. Even if you go to the most target-rich environment ever, I mean, the most available single man or women or whoever you are interested in, if you're going to that place with come here, stay away, what good is it going to do you, right? So that's what I mean. If you're on the starting line, but you're not in shape, then it's not going to go anywhere. But yet, if you get yourself in shape and then you end up going somewhere, and I don't think you even need to go anywhere special. I just think the world is full of available single people. And when you are not doing all of that and the death stare or whatever else your thing might be, well, then you're going to finish the race. You're not only going to meet them, but you're going to be able to make it be sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's the key. Am I ready to make it last?
Yeah, and that's so true and so important, Roy, because I do think there's a lot of emphasis in our industry on the meeting piece. And like that's the end all be all. And you and I know that that's, ladies, sit down for this one. That's only the beginning. That's only the beginning, because then you have this real life person that you're interacting with on an ongoing basis to create an actual relationship with.
Yes, but I actually think the viewers know that, because I would bet that 99% of people listening to us right now have been through a relationship that didn't last. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was divorce, maybe it wasn't, but they did meet at one time. And when you met, you had chemistry. You really fell for them. That's why you made a commitment of some sorts, but it didn't last. And it would be easy to say, well, that's because they were messed up. Okay, maybe so. But I would venture to say that you have your own relationship lack of fitness that played a part in that. So if you don't want another relationship that starts and doesn't finish, it's best to back up and say, put the mirror up to my own face. So what do I need to work on? How could I be a better partner? How can I be more prepared to live with an alien, right? Because remember the old book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, okay? That was the best title of a book ever written because it was the most true thing ever. Mm-hmm. You're attracted to someone who's opposite from you. They don't think the way you think. They don't move by the same motives and purposes and priorities. Relating with someone that's so different from you is really hard. And it takes some training. But where do we get any training on the masculine feminine dynamic? Where do we get that? Right? That's a big part of what I do. That's a part of being in shape, is sort of understanding that other person and understanding yourself and how they play with each other and what would be normally triggered. My wife, by her very existence, triggers me. She's just different. She thinks differently. She moves at a different pace. She sees the world different. It's like, right now I'm skilled in these things, and I still have to, recognize that my way is not right, that her perspective has a kind of value that I could learn from. And yet, how do we balance those things? So I think making a here's a stat. The triathlon, right? All that swimming and biking and running. I mean, a lot of you viewers might be thinking, oh my God, that's like impossible to do in one day. 90% of people who start a triathlon finish.
Wow.
It's way easier than a relationship. 44% of relationships make it to the finish line, meaning that's a divorce rate. And that's only people who are married. What about all the other couples who don't want to get married? Those relationships sometimes don't work out also. So what is the stat of relationships that don't go to the finish line? That might be 80%. Mm-hmm. So a relationship, what I'm saying is the hardest thing you will ever do in your life is relating to another human being on an intimate and sexual level. Mm-hmm. And yet we get the least amount of training. We get more training on how to drive a car than we do on how to relate with another human being. So that blows my mind. But the results are that we have all these broken hearts and these, I was divorced. I got dumped by a fiance. I went online and met, dozens of women and just drama, So, because I didn't have any training. I was not in shape. Mm-hmm. I decided it wasn't them, it was me. I had to work on me a little bit. Everything's changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's so true. And especially if there's a pattern of things not working out, or you start to see that, you've got multiple relationships that haven't, succeeded or haven't gone the distance. At some point we have to look in the mirror and say, okay, maybe it's me, or maybe I'm at least playing a big part in this.
Yes.
And that and the good news about that, like you said, is there's something you can do about that.
Yeah. And there is.
That's something you can do something about, whereas you don't control other people. And
right.
So sometimes it's easy to think, well, if I just meet the right person, then all of this will resolve or fall away. But especially, and that's why it's a gateway conversation so often. But especially if there's a pattern of this in your life where you've had disappointment, heartache, things not working out again and again and again, then this could be a really good time to explore this on a deeper level so that you can understand what's going on. And what's really cool, Roy, you'll probably back me up on this, is that sometimes it's not so complex or hard as we think to kind of get to the bottom of a lot of this. Like what I've found with my clients is sometimes when these things are just brought into awareness, kind of to the surface rather than operating underneath the surface, that is in some cases, enough to resolve that. There's just having that awareness around it makes it possible to be in choice about whether or not you're going to let that run the show in the future. And so that's so cool when you see that happen. I'm sure you've experienced that kind of breakthrough with your clients as well.
Yes, absolutely. It's this kind of work does not have to take a long time. but it does require assistance,
Mm-hmm.
in my view, because if you knew what you were doing wrong, then you'd fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's unconscious. You're not seeing yourself, right? If I want to see myself, well, I need a mirror, right? My eyeballs cannot see itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like you mentioned, the foot on the gas and the foot on the brake, right? I want my love life to go forward. I want to meet someone. I got my foot on the gas. I want it to go, but nothing's happening. Well, we're saying that you don't know. You don't know, but your foot's on the brake.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually the car's making noise. Oh, I want to meet someone. I want to meet someone, but it's not moving. And what we're saying, which is quite radical, is it's not because you haven't met the right person. It's because you got your foot on the brake in some way. You're saying, I want a relationship. No, I don't. It's going to hurt me. That's the foot on the brake. If you don't deal with that, the car's never going anywhere. Right? So, but if you knew how you were doing that, then you wouldn't need a coach. You just say, oh God, I got to let that go. Right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't found that to be easy. To first of all, find out what it is. You need someone that knows how to ask questions. Someone who's been through that journey themselves. Have you thought about this? Have you looked at this? Right? And it can happen very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, I don't want to exaggerate here. Within 1 or 2 sessions, my client and I are able to identify what is the issue that's really in the way. And then it might take us 3, 4, 5 more sessions to work it through. Right? It's sort of like if you went to a gym to get in shape or something, you might identify something you need to work on in your body. Take your fitness trainer might identify that, you know, your cardio conditioning is bad or something, or they put you on some sort of test to test your wind and your ability to be on a treadmill. Oh man, you can't walk for 10 minutes at a pace, so your cardio condition is not very good. Now it might take you a few months to get in shape, but it doesn't take long to find out what the issue is. And usually I think it's what's more fun than that, to find out how you're messing up your own life. Because the benefit of that is if you're doing it to yourself, well, then you can change it. You see, if the problem is them, well, then what do? I can't change them, right? So to me, that, you know, of course, we're growth junkies, right? And I think a lot of viewers are, but the idea of trying to find out how am I keeping myself from experiencing all that life wants to bring in and through me, that to me is the most fascinating question that we could ever ask.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find it takes someone to help you. Yeah.
Oh, no, I agree. I mean, I became a first-time bride at age 43, so I had my own long and winding journey to love. And it wasn't until I got support, identified some of my blind spots and some of the ways that I was self-sabotaging, that I was able to have the breakthroughs that allowed me to be in that place where I was ready to meet and attract my wonderful husband. And we've now been married for 13 years. And the other thing that I will say is that, and I'm agreeing with you, a relationship, we don't have that training for a relationship. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know how to get it for so long. And believe me, Roy, I tried to solve my own challenges. I mean, I, as a single woman, read over 125 books. I am not kidding you. Mm-hmm. I read everything I could get my hands on love, dating, relationships, men, women. I mean, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, every book out there that I could find. And I did get snippets and I did get pieces that helped me or gave me insights, but it wasn't until I really got support for myself that I was able to have the kind of breakthroughs that I needed to have, and an awareness of how I had actually been sabotaging myself without ever realizing it. So I'm totally a proponent of this, and that's a big reason why I now do what I do as well. Because if I can help, and you can help, someone to shortcut some of that so we don't have to go through all that ongoing pain and anguish and frustration, and that we can open ourselves up to having that relationship, what a gift and what a blessing. But what I'll also say, and this piggybacks onto what you said, is that being in a relationship is the biggest growth opportunity. We get ourselves in shape to be ready for a relationship. And then
And then the fun just begins.
we stay in shape, we continue to grow, because being in a relationship and learning to relate to, understand, communicate with, and have a successful relationship with someone of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, if we go back to that, is a really big growth opportunity. It's worth it with the right person.
Of course.
And wow, is it one of the great blessings of life to have that experience. But it's, it does require that training, and that, in my opinion, it requires an ongoing commitment to growth.
Yes.
So we might say in your language, an ongoing commitment to training. Like, you don't go to the gym and get yourself in shape and then stop training.
Right. Yeah. What's the point of that? Because you can fall out of shape. Right. And that brings up something that I want to just touch on here in our time, is what I found, in keeping with the kind of the fitness metaphor of getting in shape. What I found is as we talk about what we need to work on, I want to be more specific with the viewer, so you're not just left with a vague idea. Oh, I need to work on myself. What does that mean? Okay. I found there's 7 major muscle groups in our relationship systems that need to be strong rather than flabby if we're going to relate in a really good way. And the first one is our relationship to reality, our relationship to the present moment, meaning our relationship to our relationship status. Is that a problem that needs to be fixed? Or is it an opportunity for us to learn, right? So the degree to which you are frustrated and angry and upset that you haven't met someone, that really affects your attractiveness factor.
Mm-hmm.
The more you are, that old Bible verse, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. The more you're at peace with what is, the more attractive you become, right? Mm-hmm. Second one is our relationship to our mind. All the stories it tells us, all the judgments and beliefs it has about who we are, about who they are, about what they want. If you haven't noticed, that voice in your head is a neurotic mess. It's just yapping and talking and making things up. So that needs to be stronger. Our relationship to our own emotions needs to be stronger, because we'll either require someone to fix them, or we'll dump them on someone inappropriately, or we won't be able to know how to be, especially true of guys. We don't know how to be with a woman's emotions. They freak us out. And go talk to your girlfriends, which ruins a relationship. So we need to be more emotionally intelligent. Another muscle is our relationship to the past. We've talked about that. You got to be able to let go of that stuff. Otherwise, you're going to bring it and project it on your next partner, right? Then there's a relationship to our inner truth, our commitment to reveal or conceal, whether we're going to play games or be authentic. And all of us think we're authentic. But when you start really knowing what does that mean to be a person of candor, a person of real openness and honesty, that's one of the scariest muscles in the whole game. To really be honest about what you're feeling and wanting and experiencing. Then there's a relationship to your inner energy, which comes out in that masculine, feminine energy and how blocked and open that whole thing is flowing. And then finally, there's your relationship to love itself. We have a lot of beliefs about, love is controlling. Love is about power. Love is about being perfect. Love is about compromise. All that stuff isn't true. But we've seen it maybe in our family of origin or in our own relationships, and we have these stories about love. What if they're not true? But we've never challenged them. So those are the muscles that you got to work on if you want to get to that starting line and say, I could go the distance with you. Yeah. So.
All right, we're ready to get out the barbells.
That's right. Relationship barbells. Yeah. That's the name of my book, Relationship Boot Camp.
I know.
Hardcore training for life, love, and the pursuit of intimacy.
Say it again.
The book is called, and that's not what I really want to give you today. The book is called Relationship Boot Camp, Hardcore Training for Life, Love, and the Pursuit of Intimacy.
And is it available, Roy, on like Amazon for the ladies that want to pick it up?
Amazon, ebook, paper book, audiobook. I spent a week here in my office reading that book.
Roy, I really want to thank you once again, and I'm really grateful for you and your contribution. And ladies, we're so grateful for your presence here and for your participation in this event, and encourage you to join us for more. Bye-bye for now.